Barbara Hamilton, I'm council member in Ward 3, and I'm currently on my third year serving in this position.
I'm Josh Cooperman. I'm one of the council members for Ward 1. This is my first year on council. Before that, I was a member of the Sustainability Advisory Board for 4 years.
Hey everyone, Dietrich Hefner, council person for Ward 3 with Barbara. We got on at the same time, so I guess this is my third year too. The time flies. Before this, I was on planning commission for about 5 years or so.
Do you want me to reintroduce myself? Hi, my name is Sonia. I'm a sophomore at Monarch High School, and this is my first year on the Youth Advisory Board.
Hi, my name is Lily. I'm a 10th grader at Monarch, and this is also my first year on the Youth Advisory Board.
I'm Hazel Van Zyl. I'm an 8th grader at LMS, and this is my third year on the board.
I'm Sayo Lee. I'm an 8th grader at Summit Middle School, and this is my first year on the Youth Advisory Board.
I'm Evan Hyatt. I'm a 7th grader at LMS, and this is my second year on the advisory board.
I'm Chelsea Dietz. I'm a junior at Monarch, and this is my third year on the board.
Hi, I'm Everett Weiss. I'm the secretary. This is my second year on the board. I'm also on the Recreation Advisory Board, but was unable to attend that city council meeting.
I'm Senna Williams. This is my 6th year on the board, I think, and I'm the chair.
Hi, I'm Soren Firestein. I'm an 11th grader at Fairview. This is my 5th year on the board, and I'm the vice chair.
I'm Kristen Bodine. I'm the interim director of cultural services at.
Hi, I'm Diana Langley, the city manager, and Councilmember Kern asked me to introduce herself. She has been sick, and so she can barely talk above a whisper. And so we're thankful that she's able to join us tonight. Thank you.
Thanks. Oh, I didn't even, sorry. We have one more on Zoom. Adam, would you like to introduce yourself?
Good evening, everyone. Mayor, thank you for the recognition. I'm also battling a bit of an illness, so sorry I'm having to join you remotely this evening, but I'm the Director of Parks, Rec, and Open Space. I support Mandy Pereira as a co-liaison for this board, and just really appreciate all that this board does, and thank you for your service and your time in what I'm sure is a very busy calendar time of your lives. So thank you for everything.
Yes. Thanks. And welcome to the City Council meeting. It's so rare that we get to sit on the floor at eye level with the people that we serve. So that's a nice thing. Why don't, even before we start, why don't we take public comment, if we have any, on the materials that were presented in our agenda packet. Do we have any public comment? Okay, we don't have any public comment tonight. Do we have a presentation tonight? And who's going to be doing the presentation?
So I'll be starting out with a few slides and then turning it over to the Youth Advisory Board. All right, Jenny, if you could please advance to slide 6. Slide 6, please. I'm clicking on it. It's not moving. All right. No? All right, so I'll just start with the verbal presentation first. So the Youth Advisory Board was first established by council in 20, it says approved by council on November 6, 2002, to advise city council on issues affecting the youth within Louisville. The first board consisted of one student from each grade from the following schools. So they were appointed by school administrators. So Cold Creek Elementary, Fireside Elementary, Louisville Elementary, Louisville Middle School, and Monarch High School. And open recruitment of youth advisory board members was started in 2005. According to the 2025 council work plan, there are 4 priorities: economic vitality, core services, safety, and housing. All of these are considered through 2 lenses: equity, diversity, and inclusion, and then environmental sustainability. And at this point, we will turn it over to the Youth Advisory Board.
Thank you. We have a slideshow prepared, but since that's not working, I'll just start talking. Um,
Slides. Seems a little unfair to
Yes,
just.
that would be
put you
nice.
on the, I mean, if you're ready to do that, that's great, but I think that would be unfair.
Appreciated. Okay, so we have, I think, 16 members on the board this year, and we all serve from schools across the city, so ranging from middle school to high school, and we've all worked together to create a project this year, which is the Pet Mayor Project, and we've also been working really closely with Martin Ogle in the All Careers Project as well. We met for the first time in October of 2024, and we've been meeting monthly since then to advance our project and to help promote what we're doing.
Okay, so we get to do a lot of really fun volunteer work, which is super cool. So in February, we volunteered at the Sweetheart Dance. There's a picture on the slideshow, but yeah, and then so we got to kind of run it. So we greeted people, we did the food, we helped the games, we did the crafts, so that was super cool. Also, so we've been working super close with Martin Ogle, and so we have done 2 all-career sessions. One was outside, and we did a nature walk, and then one of them we got to go to Jack's in Lafayette, and then we also got to go to Alpine Windows. And Alpine Windows was super cool because we got to see this type of window that is only made here in Louisville, and so that was super cool. And then in April, we have another All Careers event and the Pet Mayor meet and greet.
Yeah, so the Pet Mayor, we started a couple years back after the Marshall Fire as kind of a community building event, and we're bringing it back again. Arlo and Hops are our current Pet Mayors. Their term has expired, you could say. So we're having another voting. Actually, voting is currently in progress, so I'd encourage you all to vote for Pet Mayor. We have 10 pets left. We have a couple events promoting this, one of them being the meet and greet that'll be at the rec center next Thursday. This Thursday. So we'll have a few of our top 10 finalist pets there where people can come and kind of like pet them, and there'll be kind of some like promotions, like pet voting promotions. So that should be fun. And then the announcement for the next Pet Mayor should be May 2nd.
Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about, and Lily already brought this up a little bit, is this program we're working with right now called All Careers. And All Careers is a program in which it's about encouraging sustainability in not just the classic careers you would think are sustainable, like environmental careers, but careers all throughout, the nation and the world, and just encouraging practices within careers that encourage sustainability so we can limit the effects of climate change and that sort of thing. It's run by an educator, Martin Ogle. We've met with him multiple times on the board. And so Lily talked about those first two field trips we did with them. But next, or this Sunday, actually, we have our last field session for like our season on the Youth Advisory Board. And it's going to be pretty much a presentation by a bunch of sustainable business owners that kind of represent an example of all careers, as well as like a couple student speakers. A bunch of us are volunteering on that. It's a really, really awesome program. And so we've been working with him on a lot of the promotion for that. And that sort of thing. We were more involved in it last year, and we're even more involved in it this year. So it's just becoming more and more of a program we work with, which is really cool.
We have like two very short questions for the city council. The first one is, what do you see as the role of the youth advisory board?
Okay, first, before we answer your question, and I suspect other council members will say something about this too, but we really appreciate your serving on this board for all of us. I'm really excited to hear about the All Careers, and that's partly because Alpine Windows is a client of mine, and it's nice to see them doing well, and the other businesses that are participating in that. But really appreciate your showing up and doing that. And as maybe you've heard me say sometime before, my dog really wanted to be a part of this, and I had to tell her that this was a conflict of interest and she could not do that. She's voting though, I think. So who's eligible to vote in all seriousness?
Did any resident?
Okay. And there are, where can people go to do that? Okay. All right. I have seen things on Facebook and other social media, so I hope, because I know you guys have put a lot of time in that, and I'm really excited. And I'm going to try to, my dog's got surgery on Thursday, but I hope that I'm going to be able to go to your, the meet and greet, because, that's pretty important, I think. All right. Other council members, they have asked what we see as the role of the Youth Advisory Board. So I'll let others start. You want to start, Council Member Fahey?
Well, I will first add my thanks to all of you for volunteering your time and your experience. Representing the youth of the city is really important. I would like to see you tell us what you would like to see for people your age or the whole range of ages. But also, I'm really interested in this All Careers project. And first, thank you for the pet mayor thing. That was great. I voted the first time. But I would like to see what you would like from us to help you do what you need to do, or would like to do. And do you want us to attend the All Careers Project Day on Sunday?
So the idea of All Careers is centered on high school students and encouraging more careers focused in environmental sustainability, but anyone from the public is invited to attend, and I highly recommend you attend. It's kind of a personal story, but my little sister, who's 11, attended the event we had last year for it, and she said it completely changed her view on careers, and she's sixth grader in middle school. So I highly recommend, and if you have kids too, bring them. It's a really interesting, very engaging event, and I highly recommend it to anyone that wants to attend. It brings a whole new perspective to the idea of the sustainable workplace for sure.
Well, and that's one of the things that I really appreciate is you're pointing out that you don't have to be an atmospheric scientist to be promoting climate endurance. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, thank you for all the work that you do on this board. I am just so moved by the fact that many of you have served on this board for many years. That is phenomenal. You are very, very busy people. And the fact that you carve out time to support your community like this is phenomenal. So bravo for that. To your question of, what can you do for us or what would we like to see? I mean, first and foremost, I think what's really unique about your board and what you bring to the table is this creativity and sense of community that really draws people in. And it's one of the reasons why we love living in Louisville is the sense of community. And the Pet Mayor event is just a great example of that. It makes you smile. I walk into the rec center almost every day and I see those posters and I just think to myself, yeah, this is one of the reasons why Louisville is so awesome, right? Is because of this work. To your question about what can you do or what would we like to see you do, I'd like to see you keep doing this awesome work. And I also want to make sure that your voices and the voices of your peers continue to be heard as we make decisions in the community. So when I'm looking at our work plan here, I think it would be great if you could work with, your advisors here to figure out, are there different areas where we could really elevate the voice of the youth? And, I'm thinking of things like, it may seem really boring, but the comprehensive plan, you all are going to be here over the next 10 years when we're using that comprehensive plan to decide what the city's going to look like. Your voice should be heard, right? The downtown vision plan. Pretty sure you probably hang out near Steinball Pavilion, whether it's ice skating, farmers markets, or the concerts, right? You probably want to make sure your opinions are heard in those things. And those are just two examples. The other one that popped out to me, unless you are really passionate about utilities, I scrolled down to, which I am, by the way, I find them fascinating, is traffic. So we're having a lot of conversations about traffic safety. Under that umbrella is not just cars, but it's e-bikes as well and e-scooters. So if there are policies that are to be carved out on those topics, you all are users and your friends are users of those modes of transportation, your voice should be heard as well, right? So keep up the creative work, and I would love to figure out ways how to bring your voice into the room when these policy decisions are made.
So Member Cooperman.
Yeah, also thank you to all for volunteering. I would echo a lot of what Councilor Member Hamilton just said. And to sort of build on her comments, each year the city council sets a work plan for the coming year. And we actually start that process fairly early on, like in the summer before the coming year. So, you could actually get a sense for what we're thinking about for the following year by, maybe having one of your liaisons look into that discussion that we've had, and then we'll have a couple more discussions before the actual new year. And you would be absolutely welcome to sort of weigh in, look at what was discussed among council, and say, oh yeah, we think this is a good idea for you to consider in the next year, but also just to come up with your own ideas, things that you think are important for a council to tackle in the next year and to suggest those during that process. So I think that would be very helpful. Yeah, maybe I'll keep it to that for now.
They're calling me. I agree with everything that's been said. I guess I want to ask you some questions. But first of all, is what you have enough? Is it what you want? Are these the projects you want? Do you want more from us?
I think on a general basis, we have great amount of freedom to do what we like with our projects each year. Like last year we did the Eco Seekers thing, and this year we're working again on the Pet Mayor project. Yeah, I think that for the most part we have a freedom to do what we like with our projects.
Great. And then on Barbara's questions, I mean, is there stuff you want to share with? This is a great opportunity to say it. If there's stuff on your mind that you think should change or that we should do differently. You know, we don't have unlimited time, but if anybody has something they want to share, I think this would be a great time to say it.
We were involved in the comp plan a little bit. We were visited by Jeff Hurt, and I know not everybody was here last year, but those of you who were here for that, do you remember some of the things that you wrote down and talked about that you cared about? You tend to be really interested in environmental stuff like dark skies, walkability, things like that.
Yeah, so one thing that stood out to me is like the idea of green roofs. So like the Waterloo, how they have extra like seating kind of on the roof, and using that space, I think would be like a really good idea to implement in other buildings around in the downtown area.
Thanks. And any others?
I think as a whole, we were pretty concerned about like maintaining parks and open space and also making sure the development is in a more sustainable way with like solar panels and other ways to keep the community like more eco-friendly.
You're always free, by the way, to communicate with us. It's, you know, we put you on the spot a little bit tonight, but you can write to us or call us, and we represent you as well. You may not be all, maybe there's a couple of you who can vote, maybe not yet, but we want you to know that we represent you, and it doesn't matter whether you vote or not. You can always reach out to us. I don't know that Councilmember Kern is still off mic. Nope. She just, okay, well, that speaks for itself. That and her smile speaks for itself. I had a few things I guess I wanted to mention because I know, have you finished your last meeting of the year or next week? Okay, well, let me throw this out. In the event that you are interested, we in the slides, there is a reminder about some next steps, and whether as a group or individually in May, we're going to be taking some recommendations for the interim budget, which means the second year of the 2-year budget that we have. And if there are any recommendations you'd like to make to us, love to hear those. Also in May, there are recommendations for our next year's work plan. And you can see the work plan on the city council's part of the website, and you can offer some suggestions about that. November, which is getting ahead, but if any of you have any thoughts about this, we have a legislative agenda that we pass every year, primarily aimed at the state legislature, but not only there. And you're welcome to look at that. And if you have some things that either are different than that, or maybe you want to add, please share that with us. I am ever amazed at how much insight young people have into public policy. And it's really important that we get your thoughts. And often what I have noticed over the years is that it's unvarnished. You don't have to worry too much about the niceties sometimes that other people, you can speak very directly. And I'm glad that's just one virtue of being younger. And I encourage you to do that as long as you can. A couple of other things that occurred to me, and maybe in the way of next year, just thinking about if you're looking for projects, I'm glad you have the freedom to do what you want. And these are not directive, just suggestions. And they're just things that I thought of. One, has to do with what Councilmember Hamilton said. In safety, e-bike safety is really important. And young people are very geared to e-bikes, or many of them. And sometimes when we wade into that, we don't have the best suggestions or the most useful suggestions. I think you all may find that to be helpful. Another one, and this is a bit bigger, but maybe input. We as a council don't have, strictly speaking, a public health role, but we care very much about the health of our community, and especially about the mental health of our community and our kids. And this is one thing that's very much on my mind. I saw today that there's going to be a defunding of a suicide hotline at the national level, which makes me very sad. And that's not the only thing that youth mental health involves, but I know that that's something that kids are concerned about. And so, if there are ideas there, we can pass those on, or we can think about them, and just to let you know that we care very deeply about that. Another thing is, I am more than delighted to, if anybody wants to visit schools with you, and maybe even the pet mayor. That might be kind of a really fun thing to do at some of the particularly elementary schools, but maybe others as well. Just know that I'm available for that, and I just wanted to let you know about that. But thank you for all you do. Are there any other comments that you'd like to make?
One more quick comment, and that's that what you do for us is really important. But what I'd like is to see if there's some way that you could give your experience and your information and your knowledge to your contemporaries in your classrooms and spread this knowledge around all of the schools so that all of the kids know what's happening in the city and what they could come to a meeting and participate in. So thank you, and I hope you can come up with some great idea.
Reminds me of one other thing. What we're bouncing around a little bit is the idea of maybe having members of the boards and commissions come to council on a rotating basis, just to find out a little bit more of what we do. I know sometimes you can get credit for that in school, but also if that's of any interest, we may talk to you more about that. Other council members have anything further? Okay. You get the last word.
So we did have another question for you, if we have time. It's how could the youth advisory board work with you? I think you've kind of answered a bit of this, but how could we work with you to support you guys in the future for future work plans in order to have the voice of the youth heard? Like a lot of what you guys said to answer our first one kind of answered that, but any other thoughts?
Council members? It's a good question.
It's a really good question. And I think Councilmember Cooperman really highlighted a great opportunity, which is coming during the development of the work plan, to set your eyes on it before it's really set in stone of what we're going to do for the next year. And then after it's set in stone, set your eyes on it again to figure out, what in that work plan could have a really nice synergy with what you all are passionate about in that year. I hope that helps.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you for meeting with us tonight. Doors open, our phones are open, our emails are open. Don't hesitate to give us a call or get in touch with us. And thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
I think I think there's a photo with, is it council and the youth advisory board? And then I think, are these the folks who are finishing their terms? Okay, maybe I can give those to each person and, well, or I can, if you want to take a picture or anything like that. I don't know how this. And then we can take it. First one is Everett Fights. There we go. Right. That's it.
I wonder if we stand up like up high, that might be nice, so somebody tell me how Judy would have to.
Oh, right, there you go. Then Judy will be in the background.
Yeah, there we go. Stand down here.
Sit down.
There we go. Fit everybody in. You don't need to sit. All right.
That's right.
Can you do a little millennial pose? All right. Got a couple. Perfect. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Thank you.
You.
All right, next is the Historical Museum Advisory Board. Welcome. You are the representative of the board tonight, won't you? Pardon me? Yeah, maybe a project for the coming year, right? Why don't you introduce yourself and introduce ourselves as well?
I'm Joe Teasdale. I have been a volunteer with the Historical Museum Advisory Board for 6 years now. I'm a second term. Love it. And I was just recently volunteered to be vice chair. So I'm now the vice chair of the board. So here it is. That's our work plan. 2025.
Welcome. I don't know that you were here at the time the rest of us introduced ourselves. We can do that again though, real quickly if you like.
He said no.
Oh, you said no.
He said it's fine.
Oh, it's fine? All right, good. I'm sorry about that. We didn't get you though.
Oh,
Please.
yes.
Hi, I'm Gigi Young and I'm the Museum Services Supervisor.
Thanks for being here. Before we do anything else, do we have anybody interested in making public comments about this board? Okay, then do we have a presentation?
We do, yeah.
Maybe, kinda?
Let's see if it works this time.
Whoa.
It's floating.
All right. So Jenny, if you could go ahead and go to slide 6, please. All right, thank you. Oh. Oh, there we go. Yay. Okay. All right, if you could go back to slide 6, please. There we go. All right, so this board shall have the following responsibilities. Assist city staff in promoting public awareness of the history of Louisville and the Louisville Historical Museum. Advise and counsel in determining the community's needs and desires for public history and historical museum services. Advise on maintenance improvements and development of all city museum facilities. Advise on the capital and operating budget as it relates to museum services and on medium and long range planning for museum services and facilities. Next slide, please. And so just to note that all city boards are subject to the Colorado Open Records Act and open meeting rules in the Home Rule Charter, and the rules of procedure are in place for all boards. Next slide, please. So the council work plan as 4 priorities: economic vitality, core services, safety, and housing, all viewed under 2 lenses: equity, diversity, and inclusion, and environmental sustainability. And with that, we'll move on to your presentation.
Excellent. There we go. Thought we'd start with some highlights from last year. I think to start, we started with a staff retreat. We helped out with that retreat, and that was really talking about the strategic priorities for 2024 through 2026. The next item we helped the museum with was around the STEPS program. That is all about doing a self-attestation around policies and procedures with museums and kind of best practices. So it allows you to self-assess. So we helped out with that. We award what's called a Pioneer Award every year. So we pick kind of the stewards of the community and leaders, and we award. Last year we award Ed Helpstead in 2024. This year was Memory Forge, I believe. Del Forge for 2025. And we did a lot of participation with various events. We held a member-only event for the board themselves. We helped put on the vintage baseball game. I don't know, we had about 400 plus spectators there. It was fantastic. I was actually played in the game. Super fun. And then finally, we helped approve and review all of the policies and donations around the various collections that we do. And so that was kind of just the quick highlight of 2024, and happy to answer. Keep this interactive. Feel free to ask questions if you need to. All right, so 2025 priorities all around those 2 lenses: vitality, economic vitality, and equity, diversion, and inclusion. To start, the vitality piece was, I think we really view ourselves as a way to bring community into the museum. I think the museum is kind of a hub for community belonging. They've got a nice campus. Ultimately, that leads people into the various restaurants and different activities downtown. I think so. We're very active in the volunteering aspect of that. Also the events, so like the First Fridays, the art walks. We are volunteering at the farmers market, so we'll have a stand there. So it'll be kind of on the promotion side of the historic history of Louisville. And again, just kind of the overall promotion of the downtown community and the overall well-being of the campus within Louisville. The next lens is around equity, diversity, and inclusion. So all the members within the Historical Advisory Board have the ability to take training from this provided by the city. I took that I think about a year ago. So it just helps reinforce inclusion and diversity within our organization. We will work with the museum staff on a regular basis to review various policies, procedures, and practices to support these overall ideals. And we all are always want to have an inclusive, diverse board. So we're constantly kind of promoting and trying to recruit different people and walks of life into the board itself. So current mix of people is pretty good with age and gender, and but always try and be inclusive and be welcoming to different ideas and different backgrounds. So the advisory board work plan. We act as a sounding board to the museum. So around different policies and strategic issues. So we are constantly providing feedback back to the museum and working hand in hand, really. Again, we're kind of advocates to the museum. So we're promoting through the different volunteer activities. For instance, Louisville History Month is one piece that we're promoting. And again, kind of getting back to that pioneer, we're recognizing community leaders through our Pioneer Award. And as always, we're volunteers, so we're around the community doing various things, parades, baseball games, so actively involved. So I think that is it.
Right now, this is the opportunity for council to provide guidance on the work plan or non-work plan items.
Okay, Councilmember Fahey.
I want to also thank you for your service. I want to say I used to volunteer at the museum before I got on the council. One thing that I recently found out about is that we have a minor mascot. I knew nothing about that, so I would love to see, what's his name?
Mario the Miner.
Mario the Miner is our official city mascot. I would like to see him brought to every function that you're sponsoring or helping out with. And I love the events that you sponsor in the patio part of the museum. So people just walking by for First Friday have something that draws them in. And then they'll go into the museum building themselves and see all the wonderful things that you guys have done. I think that's about it. I think what you're doing is wonderful and keep it up. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilmember. Councilmember Hamilton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be brief in my comments, but first of all, wanted to acknowledge the time that you've committed to this position over so many years. So thank you very much for that, and staff for the support as well. When I'm thinking about some things that maybe are on the work plan or could be on the work plan that the board could help consult on, I think we have a really nice, rich history and documentation and items at the museum, which the community loves, including our elementary school kids who visit there. I heard a lot about it at dinner that night. She loved it. But I'm thinking of how do we document our current state, which is going to be history down the road, right? Our Steinbach Pavilion, voice recordings from those who went through the Marshall Fire. Do we have some community members right now who would be really great to hear their history while they're still living in town? And the other thing that popped in my mind with the Youth Advisory Board is, could there be some collaboration there with maybe some time capsules, right? For each graduating class of what did that time represent for them that we can go back and look at? So I know I'm getting in the weeds with those suggestions, but I think, as an advisory board, that would be really helpful to hear from you all of what represents Louisville now that we should document for future reference.
Councilmember Hefner.
Yeah, I'll just add my thanks, and I don't really have any feedback other than to say the museum is a gem, the website is a gem, the collections are great. There's so much interesting history here, and appreciate all the work you do making it known more broadly. I think that's really great work. So thanks for all your service.
Thanks. Councilmember Cooperman.
Yeah, my daughters very much enjoyed the museum tour as well. Actually, I had a couple of questions. Just because I don't know, besides the campus itself, what are there other buildings or whatnot that sort of belong or are part of the museum?
Yeah, we have the Historical Museum campus, and then we are in the process of another project that has the Trot Downer cabins that are located on Miners Field. So those are the two new kind of still in process facilities that we will have. And then we also just kind of generally consider all of Louisville as being possible for us to interpret in any way. So, Louisville is filled with old houses, old buildings downtown on Main Street. So all of those we are happy to interpret and include historical information and signage around. So not necessarily ours specifically outside of the campus, but yeah, we do talk about the entire city.
And so with the miners cabins, is the idea that eventually there'll be people able to go into them and look around and so forth?
Yeah, the interpretive plan for the cabins, they're very tiny if you've been by them, so not too many people can fit in at any particular time, but that's part of why we love them so much. The interpretive plan for that is to talk about Louisville in the 1950s, because it's really unusual for when you think about the 1950s, you think of like cars and suburbs and all of these new things, but that was where people were living in Louisville in the 1950s, in these tiny cabins and without houses in the back. Those two cabins are actually part of a cabin camp that existed across the street on Lee Avenue. So there were actually a collection of like six cabins that were there. And they were owned by a woman named Mary Downing. And so we also talk about women owning property and business owners as well. So our goal for those cabins is to actually have them be completely educational and hands-on. So everything that we're going to be putting into those cabins should be things that you can handle, as opposed to a lot of things when you come into the museum, there's all these things like, please don't, please don't touch that. This one is really geared toward people to be able to, look at that stove, sit on the bed, sit on the chair and see what it's like to actually have lived in that space.
And I was curious, did the board get to participate in by providing feedback for the comprehensive plan or not?
Not yet. They should be coming into the May meeting. Jeff Hurt will be coming to the May meeting.
And slightly related, I'm curious, like, do we have a sense for whether we do get tourism to the museum, or do we have any way of tracking that?
Do you mean how many tours we give at the museum?
Or like people coming into the city to see the museum, like metrics?
Oh,
I'm just curious, like.
yeah, well,
If not, it's fine.
yes, we actually had about 6,000 people come through last year. Some of them were for programs and some of them were for tours. And we arrange special tours. We have a lot of adult learning disabled groups that plan special tours to come through. We have the school groups that come through every year. And then we have actually quite a lot of tourists that come through on a regular basis.
Great. And maybe just I'll ask one more question. So you mentioned in the presentation about the strategic priorities for this year and the next couple of years. And I'm just curious, sort of, maybe what are those priorities, and sort of, are those priorities sort of aligned with what you feel like are the top needs for the museum in the future, in the next few years?
I think the priorities that we picked were economic vitality and through the lens of EDI. And is that what you're talking about?
I mean, in the strategic plan for the museum itself.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes, it's very much about broadening the scope of who we engage with. So we are expanding down to creating activities and ways of engaging families and preschoolers. We'll be doing a preschool program starting this fall. We're also creating like different varieties and ways that people can engage with the museum. So we'll be doing more walking tours. Over the summer, we'll be introducing a bunch of new walking tours. And then we have recently connected with Bloomberg Connects, which is an online app that serves museums all over the place in terms of allowing you to create virtual tours. And so those will be ways that you can access it on your phone. We'll be developing tours, and then you can do it through either enhancing an in-person tour when you're in the building or virtually accessing what the museum has. And the thing that's nice about that is that you can design these tours on all different levels. So we can design the same tour for adults and then do another one for children, or do another one for different interests. And the other thing that we like about Bloomberg Connects is that it actually will translate into the language that your phone is in. So that also broadens our ability to meet different needs as well.
Thank you.
Councilmember Fahey.
I just have two more things. One is there's a lot of research that's done by the museum when a house comes to the Preservation Commission for demolition or landmarking. Does the advisory board take a role in that at all, or could they show up to the planning commission meetings and give their opinions and influence demo permits in particular? And then the other question I had was, I wanted to thank the staff and for what you've been doing for diversity, including, I mean, there's been a lot done for the Italians in town, the Italian festival every year, but to be including the Native Americans who were here, or the Hispanics, or just any other nationality or group, I think it's really important to just put a little bit of the history of that from the city also, instead of it all being about Italians. So thank you.
I just had a couple of things. One was on the economic vitality piece. You know, some of these things are staff pieces, but some of them are potential board issues as well. I don't know whether the board has ever had any presentations of or given presentations to the Chamber of Commerce, but they're under kind of new management these days. And I know they're kind of on fire to try to promote all kinds of things within the city to serve economic vitality. And this, I was reminded of that in the presentation that you gave, that's because I think there is a link between, I mean, when you have 6,000 people coming through there, that's not all in Louisville. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of those are from Louisville, but plenty of them are not. And that's you know, it's a really nice thing to, you know, there may be some good cross collaboration that even the board might be able to think about. Maybe you do that already. Do you all do that, or have you had any of those kind of presentations?
With the chamber.
Yeah, because I bet they would be very interested to hear what you do, and might be interesting to see how you can work together a little bit. The other thing is to go along with trying to encourage the widest possible groups or recruitment. I think it's really important because people will probably suggest things in particular groups or interests or whatnot that may be very helpful to reflect in new collections or just collections that you have in history, because history is very broad, as you know, and we've got some terrific materials that I know have been done by the library that probably serve as the bases for some of the exhibits and things. I was thinking about one on the KKK in Louisville, which is not a really pleasant part of our history, but it's part of our history. And I think that there's probably other people in town who probably have much to give. And, you know, suggesting that I think is one of those things that can be, you know, it works when you have people on the board that reflect that broad background.
So through the mayor, Councilmember Kern has a question. Is the board ramping up for Sundance Film Festival that's scheduled to occur in January 2027?
Yes, the museum is definitely looking forward to that and looking at what we can do with that. Looking at the voices that are going to come out of the films that are shown there is definitely something that we would be interested in, for sure.
It's a great question.
Yeah, and I would echo that all of Cultural Services is thinking a lot
Yes.
about what that's gonna look like, and we're
Yes.
real excited about it, so
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
I'll jump on top of that one. Are you thinking even more um, urgently maybe, or as urgently about the 250th?
Yes,
Oh,
we have been thinking about that since
commemoration.
2023.
Yeah, good.
Yes, and I will be hopefully bringing a proclamation to council for that. And then I've been working with Iris over at Arts and Events and doing a lot of thinking about it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I realize some of this stuff is crossover between the board
Yes.
and the
Yes.
staff, but those are really great things, and I'm sure you guys are doing wonderful things. Other things that council members have?
Coal miners.
Mario, I've never seen it. Is Mario actually in good shape?
I think so.
Good.
There you go.
Oh my gosh.
You'll fit into that, Chris.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a Dietrich. I think Dietrich could do that. Yeah. No.
Oh.
The banana leaf. No.
Their staff has worked here for years.
Yeah.
About 60 minutes last week, I think. It's basically Harlem Globetrotters for baseball.
Okay.
They're selling out massive, like, stadium.
No.
Huge ball. The guy that pitched on still.
Wow.
Get him to your minors game next year. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We have, thanks. Right. And our next group is the Library Board of Trustees. I'm going to get a quick just drink because my throat's dry.
I believe this one was posted for 7:15.
Yeah.
So we may not have everybody.
Well.
It's just you. Okay, well, that's fine. If we take
at the service desk. So say a Spanish speaker comes in and maybe there's not a Spanish speaking librarian at the desk, that there's a way to communicate with that language line. We also have key documents already translated into Spanish, but as a board, we'd like to kind of look into this a little bit more and see what else we can do to support community members. And there are texts from many, many languages, especially in the children's section, that represents a lot of world languages. We want to continue to support and advocate for courses in AI and cybersecurity. I know a lot of these programs are especially popular for seniors who want to learn more about, the changing technology scene in our world. And the library also promotes free museum passes. So if families want to go, say, to the Denver Botanic Gardens, they can go on the website or come on in and get free tickets to go to the Botanic Gardens or many other areas in Boulder and in Denver. So it's a really wonderful resource. We also have many hotspots that people can check out. And Kristen, I know, has all the data on that, but those hotspots are checked out very frequently for kids to do homework, for adults, I'm sure, to, do work from home, but those are very, very popular. Actually, I think we were working with the foundation last year to purchase some more of those hotspots because they were so popular. And we do have a lot of ADA services in place. I don't know if you've ever done holds online, but you can, click to put it on the ADA shelf. Perhaps if you're in a wheelchair or, can't access high shelves, things like that. So we want to continue to support those resources at the library. Kristen, I'm sorry if you want to jump in on anything. Okay. Okay, next slide, please. Uh-oh. Okay, great. And you might not think as the library as a place that could promote safety, but it really does promote physical safety, emotional safety, mental health resources. So as a board, we want to continue to support and advocate for those safety resources. So we already have an ongoing relationship with the police and fire department. Kristen and her staff often plan story times, which is wonderful. So the kids, can see the fire trucks up close and, hear a story from the police chief. And, we were thinking that maybe we could include some story times around pet safety or poison control. Bike safety is a big thing, especially with all the e-bikes and the kids riding the e-bikes. And also safety online for seniors. Obviously, it is a cooling shelter in the summer, which is great, and obviously nice warm heat in the winter. And something you might not think of is the wonderful support the library offers to all our youth, especially LGBTQ plus youth, and the displays they have and all the wonderful books that, kids can really see themselves in, which is so important. Like I just said, so the community can feel seen. We have so many diverse books. So it's a really safe place. All right, and affordable housing. This was an interesting discussion that we had. You wouldn't think of the library as, a resource for affordable housing, but we are an incredible resource for all community members. We are free. We are 100% free. And there are hundreds of thousands of books that people can check out, and online resources too. The library staff also does support to housing units such as Kestrel. Sorry, that was a bit of a tongue twister. And we really support Kristen and her staff doing more outreach. We want to support programming around affordable housing and all housing. I believe, Kristen, your staff offered a mortgage course just in the last couple of weeks. But, looking into maybe more tenants' rights or even online high school courses, or, obviously a place where kids can come and do online programs. As a board, we want to continue to advocate for no more late fees. The library has not charged late fees since COVID, and they have been completely eliminated in the children's section. We are a very welcoming community space, and we love all the artwork and want to continue to support for that and support the free access for computers and Wi-Fi and more hotspots. in addition to this, I told you this is like 4 or 5 years worth of stuff. But one of the things we actually do as board members is we maintain, there's little libraries all around Louisville and Superior. And some are private. Actually, I'll get into that in a second. But there's 8 of them that we actually maintain. And books that have been weeded from the collection, we bring and put into the little libraries and make sure that they're in good repair. One of the things that we want to do, and we've already started working on designing it, is put bookmarks in these little libraries to say, oh, these are maintained by the library board, and we want to do them like seasonally. So for the summer, we would advertise like the summer reading program. In the winter, we would advertise story times or other library programming. We wanted to do one for the closure, but it was just too quick to get that out. So we did put up little signs that just, said that rather than the bookmarks. But we have grand ideas for connecting the private little libraries too, and maybe putting a map together, and we'll see where that goes, but it's very exciting. We want to support the onboarding of the new director of cultural services. And I mentioned this briefly, but we do work collaboratively with the foundation. So one of our board members attends a foundation meeting every month, and the foundation is the fundraising arm. So we represent the board and, update them with what we're doing. And if there's anything that we can do to support them, we try to do that. Okay, so this was the library work plan and how some of our thoughts connect with the library work plan. So the library is a welcoming place to connect, discover, and grow. And that mission statement is something we worked on collaboratively as a board with the staff and with other stakeholders. So the welcoming space, that's promoting events, that's working on the language access plan, that's all those displays that really make sure that everyone in the community feels seen in our library. Connecting community, that's the outreach visits, that's some of the bookmarks, that's our volunteering around town. Reading for life and lifelong learning, that's again supporting the diverse displays, really promoting all the library activities. And creativity and staff empowerment, we really thought that was supporting the new programming and different community connections. Okay.
All right, this brings it back to council for input.
I don't have much to say. Wow.
Yeah.
Councilmember Fahey, do you have?
Wow. You pretty much covered everything, and it is the most welcoming, well-resourced library I have ever attended. And I've been to a lot of libraries. One thing you didn't mention that I'm personally appreciative of is the makerspace. And going in there and being able to make a pillow for my granddaughter on your sewing machine right after the fire when I didn't have mine anymore was critical to keeping my sanity and keeping things going. Also, the assistance that you give to everyone. Anyone who comes in there just has a wonderful time and gets whatever they need. I really like the idea of having the translations available for other languages, and the support, the physical safety and mental health of the residents or anyone who comes in is really important. But my favorite part, I think, is all the kids' events and how you give them the joy of reading, and you bring them in and give them challenges. Can you read this many books? Who can do it fastest? And then do all the artwork displays, and it's amazing what the library does. So I want to thank you very much for everything you do at that building. One thing I just want to mention quickly, and it has nothing to do with Louisville's library, but the thing that got me involved with reading when I was about 7 or 8 years old was I walked to a neighborhood library, and this was back in Madison, Wisconsin. and they were having a story hour. I didn't know anything about story hours for kids. And the librarian was reading Tales of the Arabian Nights, and she read it the way it was written. So I had to come back next week to find out how it ended. So that got me hooked on reading. So a suggestion for your story hour.
Others. Councilmember Hefner.
Yeah, thanks. I just have a couple hundred more items for you. No, it's a great work plan. I hope you get to all of those things because they were all excellent. And I'll second all the nice things that have been said about the library in general as sort of one of the cornerstones of the town and certainly of downtown. A place my kids go all the time, and I'm excited in particular to see what happens with Downtown Vision and your beautiful new plaza, and sort of hope that all gets tied together in a way that makes sense. So looking forward to having your input on that. And then the last thing is just, in support of libraries, we're living through a time of sort of unprecedented censorship and literally book bans and attacks on libraries at the federal level, and couldn't be a more important time to be doing what you're doing and standing up for all ideas, no matter whether they're easy ideas or difficult ideas. So thanks for all that you do.
Councilmember Cooperman.
One little question. So was the board established when the new building was constructed, essentially? 2009? I don't know.
I don't actually know that. I assume it was in place longer than that, but that's a great question. I don't know the history of the board.
Okay, that's all right. One other little question. Has the library ever offered or sort of facilitated English language classes, or have you felt there's any need for that?
We have in the past had some kind of one-on-one tutoring that did facilitate that. We worked with Intercambio, which is an organization that does tutoring, and they used our study rooms and offered that. And we did that for a while, and then kind of there was less and less interest. So we haven't done that since COVID. It's definitely something we're always kind of on the lookout for if there's more interest in bringing it back.
And then I wanted to ask, so, you cited the number of patrons that come per each year. And I'm wondering, have you had discussions around the level of demand on the library, and, do we think that's sustainable or not? And, looking forward to the comprehensive plan, which is probably going to call for some growth in the city. I don't know if you have thoughts around, will the library have needs with that growth, or any sort of comments in that space?
Yeah, that's a great question. And if you have things to add, Laurel, please throw them out there. But we did meet with Jeff to talk about exactly that. And some of the ideas that came out of that were kind of is there maybe a need for satellite locations? It all depends a little on what the growth looks like, in terms of how big any kind of projected build out would be. But maybe there is a need for satellite locations with a small collection, lockers to pick up holds, that kind of thing. So we did throw a lot of ideas and options to kind of plan for and think about.
As a board, we haven't talked about the future, but we often look at numbers and compare ourselves to other neighboring libraries like Boulder and Lafayette, Longmont. Our library is used more frequently than I think any other library in this state per capita. We have so many visits. The online usage from our library is absolutely astounding. We are a community of readers and it's amazing. I mean, Kristen and her staff handle it so well. And as you mentioned too, like coming in, the customer service is just outstanding. So thank you for your question. And I think, if the town grows a lot more, we would definitely advocate, for whatever needs Kristen and her staff have to continue to maintain that level of service.
And just to follow up on that, you are right. Like especially for our service area, if you look at our numbers compared to other libraries, we are the max for everything in terms of per capita visits, per capita circulation, and look for an article about that coming in the community update. We're working on writing that right now to kind of share that good news with everybody. So,
Can I ask one?
Good.
Yeah, just one more. So on one of your slides, you said that the board certainly considers the library to be a core service. And I'm curious, the board and maybe library staff, do you feel like the city considers the library, or the city council, do we consider the library to be a core service, or do you feel like we could do more in that direction?
Well, we didn't see it listed as a core service in the work plan. So that was one reason it was important to the board that I put that in the slide, that we really wanted to advocate for ourselves and for the library as really that anchor to downtown, and wanting to be more involved in the comprehensive plan and, viewed as a core service.
Other comments? I had a question about how many private little libraries are there? I think you said there were 8 that are sort of public little libraries. How many?
Let me see if I can pull that up. One of our new board members seems to love digging into research. Give me 1 minute. Let me see if I can grab it.
While you're looking that up, can I also thank you for your other services that you provide outside of the library itself? And the resource center down in Superior, and having a separate library facility in Superior, I think is amazing. So thank you.
thank you.
He was able to find 27 other little libraries registered. So I guess there's a little library site that you can register your little library. So 27 are registered. I would assume there's a handful that probably are not registered.
I can see a public-private partnership building there. That's great to hear. When I first heard about little libraries, I just thought that was the silliest thing I'd ever heard. And then as the movement has grown, it's really pretty special. And I appreciate the boards like embracing that as something they do.
Yeah, it's a really fun task for us. I have to say, I'm in charge of the one at Heritage Park, and it gets used so much. I have to get new books every couple of weeks. It's incredible how much, these just little boxes are actually used. And they are built by Eagle Scouts here in Louisville.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yeah, one, we had 2 built last year by graduating Eagle Scouts, and one was just installed at the new Joe Carnival Park. And one is being installed in Superior because one burned down during the Marshall Fire. So we're working in collaboration with the Superior Parks and Rec Department to install it in Superior.
That's great. I was going to say, how are you telling your story? Just generally, I think it sounds like there's the board and cultural services is doing some of that coming up pretty soon, because there's some of these statistics that you rattled off there are really mind-blowing to me. I don't know about others, but those are good things to let the community know about. I think, and as many ways as you as you can. I heard somewhere that libraries are kind of the embodiment of humility in a community, because they tell us that there are things that we don't know, and a constant reminder of that. And I know parents, when they're taking their kids to these, encourage people, and I appreciate the board's support of all those missions. And I think just the last thing is sort of a personal story. But it's the power of libraries to be a real force for good, particularly in the area of diversity, equity, and inclusion. I grew up in a pretty homogeneous community, northeastern Colorado, little farm town up there. And I won't ever forget going to Story Hour, which I suppose a lot of kids, but I remember particularly reading the book The Snowy Day. And that book was quietly, I think, but in a really, really deep sort of way, I think it taught me a whole bunch about people that were nothing like me, except they were like me, and that was the whole point of the book. And so I would, I encourage that. I think that's a force for, it's a very powerful force. And, the fact that these things that we're talking about involve kids as well as adults. I think it's one of the best parts of having a library is the introduction to a whole wide world that people haven't seen yet. Other things from council? Yes, Councilmember Hamilton.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank you for volunteering your time. The library, as many of my fellow council members have said, is such an important part of our community. And I'll end with saying I'm very excited to see what progress you make on this ambitious work plan. Your 4-year work plan within a year. I can't wait to see the update on where you land next year.
Councilmember Kern, I'm going to actually ask you if you have anything to say. Okay. There was a kind of question that I think came out of the last discussion that we had with the last board. Are you all, either the board, the library, planning on, planning for the upcoming 250th? What is that? I don't know, sesquicentennial. I can't remember what the right word is of the U.S. and then planning for Sundance to the extent that that's something we can do.
Yes, yes to both of those things. Historical Museum and Arts and Events are taking more of the lead on the 250, 150. I need to learn how to say sesquicentennial, but I think it's sesquicentennial. They're taking more of the lead on that, but the library has been collaborating and meeting as part of those meetings. And then definitely, yes, all of cultural services is starting to think and to dig into what we can do with Sundance and how we can be a partner on that. And yeah, and we're excited.
That's great. And maybe the last thing is just, again, a comment that we made to the previous group. If there's, cross collaboration with other boards and with other organizations in town, like the Chamber of Commerce, I'm sure they would be delighted. I mean, some of these connections, I feel like we get siloed in organizations and parts of the community. And I think the more people can reach out, we've got very creative people. They are readers and they are creative on top of that. So anything from you before we close her down?
From the presentation, is there anything that really stood out as something that you feel that we should focus on in the next year or two?
I think you guys are doing a pretty good job yourselves, frankly. And you're, you did a nice job of hooking up with our work plan, I think, and Councilmember Hamilton.
I think you have a really unique opportunity, more so than maybe other boards, to view things through that lens. my went out, but I can't repeat that. It was too eloquent.
Would you like to make an eloquent motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. It's semi-quincentennial. Semi-quincentennial.